Welcome back, everybody, to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here today with Lisa Warner. Lisa, great to have you.
Thanks. I love being here.
So, Lisa, a lot of the questions that I've been getting, most importantly, revolve around buying process. What are the three most important things that you're telling your clients when buying a home?
Okay, so whenever I'm working, especially with a couple, location is absolutely number one thing. So the two of them have to decide, where do you want to be? What's your commute like? How far are you from family? Where do you like to hang out? Where are your friends located? Because you have to take that into consideration. You could have the greatest house in the world, but if it takes you an hour to get to your family, it gets old really fast and that house isn't so great anymore. And you can always make the house eventually whatever it is that you want it to be. So location, number one, so we start with that. The next two items, I tell each of them, pick one. What is your absolute that you have to have that you're not willing to compromise, that is something that would not easily be updated or put into the home? For some, it may be they want that absolute to die for kitchen, or it may be a fireplace, or something that once they've moved in would be much harder to update, or depending on where your family status is. If you have a couple little kids and you need to renovate a kitchen, wow, are you going to be able to be without that kitchen for a month or so? You have to consider that. So the other items is those can fall into place with a little bit of work, but make sure you're located where you want to be, and then make sure you have at least one item off your wish list for each of you, so that when you move in, you're not going to regret that decision, because that would be horrible.
That makes sense. I really like what you're going with about location, but specifically understanding what you can change and not change about the house. Now tell me, working with all types of buyers, the experience versus the first-time home buyer, what's the difference when talking to a first-time home buyer about these points versus an experienced home buyer?
Well, usually experienced home buyers, they kind of already know what they want. They've already been a homeowner for a while. They know what has worked for them in that home and what absolutely has not worked in that home. So for them, it's a much easier process because they're a little bit more set in knowing what they want. But for a first-time buyer, you kind of really have to focus in on those few items. That what have you always dreamed about having in a home that you would own? And again, some of them might want this great backyard with a pool, but they walk into a house, there's no pool in the backyard, but it has an amazing kitchen. Well, guess what? It's easier to be without your backyard for 60 days than it is to be without your kitchen. Much easier to dig a hole of ground than to rip out your kitchen, especially if you're tending to, kids. You need a place to cook dinner. They're only going to tolerate eating out so much. And it's going to be a big strain on just your household in general. So you kind of have to guide them into weighing things like that, where it might be okay to be without a bathroom for a little while because you have another bathroom to fall back on. But, you only have one kitchen. So, if it's a minor update like painting cabinets and replacing your countertops, well, that's not going to be a very long process. You could probably tolerate something like that a little bit easier.
I love that. That whole outlook of I'm going to be your guide to helping you make these decisions, these choices. I think that is phenomenal advice for your first-time home buyer. I really appreciate you, Lisa, being on and talking to us about those keys. Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thanks.